Welcome back to the baseline. And today, guys, another top 10 greatest, this time catchers. And of course, as always, joining me is Al and Craig. And guys, how we feeling?
I'm doing well. Fantastic. This was a fun list to do, and also a tough list to do.
Yeah, right there with Craig on that. I enjoyed it a lot. There were so many good catchers and tough to parse out this list in some ways. But yeah, just a fun one. And we're going to talk about a lot of good players. And I think we might have some differences too, which will be fun.
That always, and that's always the fun in doing these lists. So, like you said, definitely hard, definitely a lot. But I think catcher probably has the most memorable players in baseball. I know that's probably like
Well,
an
some of them, yeah.
overstatement, but they are. I don't know, like these catchers are really really good, and to be in that position to also be like the leader of that, the infield they call it. It's a hard job to do, especially to do it for 162 games. It's really really hard, and also takes effect on people's knees, as we see some people over the last couple of years.
Yep.
That's a great point, man. And it actually, it made that affected my list a lot. When it came down to picking between people, I often went with the guy who was able to play catcher till he was in his late 30s, as opposed to the guy who had to switch to first base or DH at 32. So that's a big factor in this list, and it's a big factor in that position. It's one of the toughest positions in all of professional sports, I always thought.
Yep, I totally agree.
Yeah, 100%. All right, well, let's get down to this list. And I guess I'll go first. And my number 10 is a guy who, sadly, his career did get cut short after 10 seasons. But in his career, batted 283, had 242 home runs, and had 856 RBIs. And I am going with Roy Campanella as my number 10 to start off our list.
Love it, Jordan did not make my list. One of the people I tore my hair out about not putting on.
He's my number 7.
Nice.
Nice. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, I had to put him in there just because you hear the stories of how great he was until he got into that bad car crash, which cost him his career, and that was in '58. And but this, like you said, the stories he's heard, the Dodgers loved him from day one. They they some people said like he wasn't really even like he wasn't um like scouted at all. They just signed him just to sign him, and they said this is probably one of the best moves we made back in the time because he came after Jackie Robinson after he broke the color barrier. And but to me, is a tragedy that also, we mentioned that car crash did cost him his career. He only played 10 seasons. He probably could have played more, but we don't know because tragedy struck.
Well, the reason why he's on my list and he's number 7 is he's one of 2 catchers with 3 MVPs.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a great point.
He has 3 MVPs, a 41.8 WAR, and over 1,000 RBIs. So that's where I have him.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fair, man. And the only reason he didn't make my list is because I was just trying. Like, I wanted him to be on the list. He was going to be. I knew he'd be on somebody's, so I knew I wouldn't even have to have him on my honorable mention list or whatever you want to call it. But I'm glad he came up. But the
Jordan.
only reason I knocked him off is because he had the lowest WAR of anybody on that I was considering. It
Yep.
was 10
Mm.
points, 15 points lower than anybody I put on my list. So it was a tough call though, man, because I know how great he was.
Jordan, what did you have for him for RBIs?
Uh, I looked it up. It said career he had 856, unless that's wrong.
I'm looking at Baseball Reference right now, and they have him at 1,000,
Oh, okay.
1,019.
So, maybe they looked it up
What you find
wrong.
too sometimes with these things is Jordan may have had a list of RBIs at the catcher position, and you might have had a total RBIs thing.
Yep, that's absolutely
Uh,
possible.
yeah, go
Because
ahead.
I was driving, I was having all kinds of stat crises last night going through this list because I kept finding different numbers on different sites, and then finally I realized that's what, in my case, that's what was going on for sure.
Okay, yeah. So okay, maybe that was what it was. Yeah. So
Yeah, that.
my mistake.
All
But
good,
no,
no,
dude,
all good.
that's a great call. I'm glad both of you guys had him on, and Greg, I respect you having him that high too. I mean, it can make a. That's what I was talking before we started. There were some
The
tough calls.
MVPs is what got me.
Yeah, and
So,
that's completely fair. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah, 100%. All right. Whoever wants to go next for number 10, take it away.
All right, well, I'll hop on in there, and I'm. This might be somebody that didn't make anybody's list, but I had an obsession with him when I was young, and I used to collect baseball cards, and I never had this guy's card because he's old school, but I had a reproduction set of like old. They really weren't worth anything, but they were neat to look at, like the old Bowman sets and the old
Ah,
Topps.
yeah, Bowman.
Bowman was the deal, man. And the one guy who I just kept reading his cards over and over again, reading about him, and I had to put on. It was definitely a little bit of a sentimental bump here, but he deserves it too. And that is Mickey Cochran.
Oh, he's one of my 8 that did not make my list, but was right there. His WAR was 49.7. But yeah, I definitely considered him, and he was one of the ones that I did end up leaving off, but definitely considered him, and he's definitely worthy.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Jordan, did he make your list?
No, he did not.
No, and I'm not surprised, but let me throw some stuff at you about Mickey. So, one of the things I got into making this list was nicknames, and Mickey's nickname was Black Mike. And he was a white man, but the reason his nickname was Black Mike is because he had a massive temper. So he had a dark cloud hanging over him constantly, apparently.
Wow.
Okay, interesting.
His
and
career batting average is 320.
it's 320, brother.
And
What's his career OPS?
his career OPS is 897
Which is the
because
second highest all time of anybody that played their most significant games at catcher.
and his on base for his career is over 400.
419. Yep. Here's the other thing about Mickey that gets unnoticed. Like we talked about it with Roy Campanella, how he got in that accident and it shortened his career, and that is absolutely true. But it did happen when he was at 36 years old. So maybe he, who knows how long he plays from there? Couple more years for sure. Maybe he plays 4. Who knows? Uh, Mickey Cochran got pelted in the head by a fastball that ended his career at 34 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, a couple fun things about Mickey. And the MVP thing, Craig. This guy didn't have Roy's number, but he had 2-time MVP.
Yep.
Uh, he was a 3-time World Series champ, 1 time as a player manager. Lefty Grove, one of my favorite, old school names and players of all time, said he's the greatest catcher of them all. Hank Greenberg, another legendary name, said he he taught the Tigers how to win. Greenberg was when Mickey played for the A's in his first 2 World Series championships, got sold to the Tigers, became their player manager, and in his second season there, took them to their World Series victory. And Hank Greenberg said he taught them how to win and would go through a brick wall to catch a ball. I love it. So yeah, that's my guy, Mickey Cochran, right there.
Jordan, did he make your list? Or no, you already said he did not.
Yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't make my list.
All right. Here's another one that I don't think is going to make your probably either one of your lists, but I bet you guys came across him. I'm going with my number 10 as Ted Simmons.
Oh, he
Ooh,
was on my list of guys that didn't make it, Greg.
Yep. He and the reason why,
I'm glad you put him on.
well, he had a 50.4 WAR, but the thing is his numbers aren't staggering anywhere, but they're solid everywhere. He's in the top 5 all-time catchers in hits, RBIs, extra base hits, and total bases.
Yeah, he's got
He's
an
actually
impressive resume.
second in hits and RBIs all time as a catcher.
I love that you put him on, man. He was actually, I think, I don't know, it's hard to say, but it was he was one of the number of guys that I just struggled to that when I didn't put him on the list. So I'm so glad he made yours. I'm glad he made somebody's. Jordan, did he make yours?
No, he did not. But he
Right
was
on, right on.
he was one of the guys that on my list that that just left off.
Right on, and that's understandable because again, there's so many great choices here. But I love that you put Ted on, man. And I think he was kind of like we're both close enough age wise, Craig, that I think we both were too young for the first part of his career, and then caught the second half, kind of, you know.
Absolutely. How
And he
about this?
seemed like criminally underrated to me growing up, you know. And when you talk about those numbers, it's hard to imagine how he could possibly be underrated, you know.
Well, like I said, there's always something that gets me while when I'm really considering somebody, and for me, it was the top five in all those categories, and number two in hits, and number two in RBIs of all catchers.
Yeah, that's great stats.
And he threw out 611 base runners. He gave up 1,000 steals, threw out 600 base runners, though, but at a time when steals were very prevalent, and guys like Vince Coleman and Ricky Anderson were in the league at the end of his career, which is when it kind of fell off. Like one year, he
Totally.
only caught
Oh, he was
two.
in the problem because he started with like Maury Wills and when those guys
Hmm.
when guys like that were still playing and ended up in the 80s with all the guys you just mentioned that you play St. Louis 3 times a year and you could give up 40 stolen bases.
Yeah, he led the league in caught stealing twice, and he was in the top five 4 times.
Yeah, that's
So
impressive.
he was a good defensive catcher too. He had a good arm. Yeah, like I said, the second in the hits and RBIs is what got me for it.
Yeah, just super solid all the way around, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that you made your list, Craig.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick, good choice.
Alrighty, so we go into number 9.
Yes, we are, and I do apologize to our viewers, but this is the one of many who played for this team. But my number 9 catcher is going to be Bill Dickey.
Oh, same as me. I have him in number 9 as well.
Me too. That's crazy.
Oh, really?
What?
Wow.
Really?
For real. Number 9, Bill
Oh,
Dickey.
that's the first time that we all have the same guy in the same.
That's almost impossible given all the choices that didn't make it, the great choices we had to come from. That's awesome that we all ended up with him at 9, and deservedly so. This guy was unfreaking believable.
Oh yeah,
50,
no,
56.4 WAR.
yep.
Absolutely, man.
It's a big
Jordan,
WAR.
go to town on this guy since you brought him up. Tell us what you want to tell us, and then we'll jump in. I love this call.
Well,
I learned a lot about him reading.
oh yeah, me too. Well, star, 7-time World Series winner, which it's still to me crazy. Um,
Yeah.
Yogi Berra, another great catcher, said he owes everything to Bill Dickey from hitting to behind home plate. Uh, and actually, one of my favorite quotes is one of his managers uh, told Bill Dickey, "We pay one hitter to hit home runs, and that's Babe. So choke up on the bat, and you'll be here a lot longer."
That's
So
great.
that was my favorite. That was my favorite quote going in here.
I love that.
He also got double digits in home runs 9 times within his career, reached the 100 RBI mark 4 times, and hit 300 or better, which this is crazy to me. I was reading this, I had put on here. He reached 300, hit 300 or better 11 times, which
Yeah.
it's that's still insane, especially for a catcher now, because you don't really see catchers hit as much, yeah, as they used to back in the day. But I mean, Bill Dickey's probably one of the greatest Yankee catchers to play for that franchise, and again, also all in baseball. That's there's nothing wrong you could say with Bill Dickey.
No, absolutely.
From
Craig, you want to jump in because I got some stuff then, but I'll let you go first
sure,
if you want to, please.
real quick, from 1929 to 1939, he batted over 300 every year except one.
As a catcher, I mean, geez, it's so crazy. I love
As
it.
a catcher, he had an on base percentage over 400 4 years in a row. And he missed 2 years because he was in the Navy. He
Yeah.
missed 2 years serving. So
Yeah,
World War II.
he
Yep.
left and came back.
Yep. Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
I love this. I love this. All right,
Yep.
let me hit you with a couple things if you don't mind. So, listen, anytime I can get a Yogi Berra quote in, I'm going to. And since Bill Dickey passed the torch to Yogi eventually, what Yogi said about Bill Dickey was Bill Dickey learned me all of his experiences. Dickey's number 6 all time in RBIs as a catcher. He This is one of my favorites. He acted in The Pride of the Yankees and another story, that famous Yankee movie where a bunch of Yankees were in it. But another one that I wasn't familiar with. Do you guys know this? It's from 1949 called the Stratton story.
No.
I'd
No.
never heard of it either, man. Well, this is so Jimmy Stewart, the famous actor Jimmy Stewart, played a pitcher, and Bill Dickey had to play a guy who took strike three on the last out of the game. And after arguing with the director for hours, saying no self-respecting baseball player would ever do that, he finally the director said, "Listen, it's just got to be how it's got. That's how it's got to be." So they spent all morning filming this scene, at the end of which Dickey just said, "I've struck out more this morning than I did throughout my entire baseball career."
That's fantastic, man.
Isn't that great, man? I love that. Also, he was roommates and best friends with Lou Gehrig. I mean, what a cool credit that is on your personal resume.
Hmm.
Um, and my last thing that I thought was so cool, ties together two things. One, he was top 8 in MVP voting 5 times. And at 36 years old, he was an all-star, finished 8th in the MVP voting, batted 351, on base 445, OPS 937, and only played 85 games. He was so respected that he finished 8th, and the numbers were so outrageous that he finished 8th in the MVP voting when he only played half a season one year.
Ah,
Nice.
Yeah. Bill Dickey. Good
yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely worthy of the list.
No doubt. I love it, man. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. Cool. All right. Who's up next?
Yeah, I guess I'll go. My number 8.
Oh,
We're gonna go.
wasn't
Oh,
that you to toss Bill Dickey?
Right, but we were all
I'm sorry. Yes, because it's okay because we're on a number 8 now. My bad. Let's go.
good.
That's so
All
awesome.
right.
Oh, hey, can
So
I tell you the other funny thing real quick before you go to your number 8?
yeah, boy. Yeah.
I said I got all into nicknames with people, and I almost forgot to mention Bill Dickey. His nickname is the man nobody knows.
nice.
What a great nickname! Because
I like
apparently
that.
he was a quiet dude, so he became the man nobody knows.
I like it.
Sorry,
Yo.
didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to get that in there. Go
No, you're
ahead.
good.
Sorry.
That's a good. That is a good nickname. Um. So number 8. Uh, we're gonna stick with the same team, but my number 8 is probably. I'll put him second on the Yankees. Uh, all-time catchers, just because he had a phenomenal career. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame if he ever gets back on the ballot, and that's none other than Thurman Munson is my number 8 guy.
Thurman
Love it.
Munson was on my list of 8 that did not make my list.
Same, and another guy who I really wanted to get on and just didn't. But I love that I'm so glad he made somebody's list because would love to talk about old Thurman, man. Another a weird thread that runs through the catcher position is tragedy, and this is another one. You know,
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
I think he would be much higher on lists and maybe regarded as the one of the best or possibly even the best if he did if tragedy didn't strike.
It's very possible, man. No doubt about it.
Oh
He was
yeah.
on that trajectory. He was on his way.
Mhm. Yeah.
For sure. There's nothing
Yeah.
bad you can say about Thurman Munson.
And look at the teams he played on. He played on great Yankee teams, and from when the tragedy struck, there wasn't a Yankee captain until Derek Jeter back in what, '04. Like it
No,
took.
you're missing Mattingly.
Oh well, okay, yeah, well, Mattingly, but yes, but he was a really respected player. People always
Oh yeah,
talk great about him. And how can you not? Two-time World Series winner, 76 MVP, and in 30 postseason games, his numbers aren't really that bad, but he in 30 postseason games he batted 357 with 22 RBIs in his career in the postseason, which to me
Wow.
is
he's absolutely clutch.
yeah,
And
Clutch
rookie,
money.
don't forget rookie of the year too.
yeah, rookie of the year in '70, and I don't know. I believe that we always talk about. I know me and Al were talking about it. But he's also one of those guys that's like a what if. Like what if his career kept going? What would been his legacy? And I think he
He
gets. I
he
think he
probably
gets
had
underlooked.
four. Yeah, he probably had 4 or 5 more like Hall of Fame worthy years, maybe 4, and then probably would have like 2 or 3 after that of years of probably steady decline as he gets into his late 30s. But I mean, up until he passed, I mean, my God, so good. He got injured his last couple of years as well, but I mean that '76 year, he won the MVP with only 17 home runs.
Yeah.
But he had
Mhm.
100. He had 100 RBIs. He batted 302 as a catcher. He had just phenomenal numbers, and MVP Rookie of the Year and he's the captain. When you refer to if you just want one captain, it's him.
Here, I agree 100%, first of all. And second of all, here's a fun little thing. Maybe you guys know it because you guys are big Yankee guys. But do you know who he was? He was the first Yankee captain in a long time. Do you know who the last one was prior to him? And this speaks a lot about what they thought of him. A lot.
Mm,
I never heard this before until doing the research last night.
I'm not sure actually.
Jordan, any thoughts?
I'm trying to think. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Willie.
No, Willie was after.
Yeah, Willie was after. I don't know. Yeah, that's a
How
good.
about Lou Gehrig? So the last time there was a Yankee captain was Lou Gehrig. And then it took until the mid 70s for them to think highly enough of another guy with all those great players to make him the captain.
Yeah,
Wow.
they went 30 years without a captain.
Yep. Isn't that something? I
Here's
never knew
Yeah.
another
that before.
thing I did not realize. Holy shit! Because I just did a list of Yankee captains. Did you know that after Munson, Greg Nettles was the captain?
Get out.
No,
Yeah,
I
he
didn't
was the
know.
captain from 82 to 80, just 3 years, 82, 83, and 84. 85, they didn't have one. Randolph was the captain from 86, 87, 88. And another one I didn't realize, Ron Guidry was the captain
Gidry, no kidding.
in 86, 87, and 88. And then finally Mattingly until 95. Jeter in '03, so they went 8 years again without one. Jeter in '03, and then Judge now. They went another 9 years after Jeter retired.
Wow. That's a fascinating thing, man. I never knew that. I never knew. I knew. You know that Munson was a captain. You know Jeter was a captain, I vaguely remember Mattingly after you said it, but it's not something I ever really thought much about, and that's a fascinating little lineage there.
I wonder why Babe Ruth gave it up, didn't have it. Babe Ruth had it 1 year. He was a captain in 1922 and never was again.
He
And
probably
obviously he
traded it
was,
for a hot dog and a beer.
yeah. And then Everett Scott was the captain,
Everett Scott.
and then Lou Gehrig was.
Get out. I don't honestly Everett Scott is not a name I know.
No, me neither.
No, I would say maybe.
How about Roger Peckinpah?
Oh, old Pecky. Yeah, good old Pecky.
Captain before Babe.
That's
That,
awesome.
no, that's interesting. I wonder why he did give it up. Oh, now we gotta look that into. Now we gotta look into that.
And
I
real
love
quick,
that.
in case you ever get asked the trivia, first Yankees captain ever in 1903, Clark Griffith.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
First
Clark Griswold. Clark-
first
um,
Yankee captain ever.
That's awesome. I love it.
wow.
Clark
But
Griffith.
yeah. So that's my take on Munson, and then also yeah, it's actually nice. I've actually watched. Yeah, I think I watched it every single year. But on the day that he passed away, me and my dad watched the little Yankeeographies that they do,
And
and
they
every
they they
if they
play it every
play it,
year, I guess, too, on the day he
yep, they
passed.
they play it every year on the anniversary of when he passed away.
Oh, wow, wow.
That
Yep,
first game after was amazing. They
yeah.
went to his funeral, and then they played his game a game that night, and what's his face, Bobby Mercer hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth to win the game.
Oh, wow. I didn't remember that.
And I
Wow.
think he was his best friend on the team.
That's
Yep.
incredible. That's incredible.
Isn't it
That's
the same game that were that they always show the shot of Reggie Jackson crying up out in right field?
Yeah, I think that was the same game.
Yeah, like he just takes his glasses, hat, glove off, and he's just crying out in right field.
Yep,
that
and
was
I'm
just
not sure
that
if it
I
was
thought
the
that was
bottom of
just
the
because
ninth or
Billy.
bottom of the eighth, but it was one of them that Mercer hit that home run.
Wow, that's amazing, man. What a cool story. That's so cool.
Mhm.
All
Love
right.
that.
All right,
Great
so
call. Great call.
thank you.
Craig, you want to go up next?
Sure. My guy, let's make sure I got this right, had a very high WAR of 70.2. Nickname is the Kid, and of course I'm talking about Gary Carter is my number 8.
Oh, he's my number 7, Craig.
Okay, perfect.
Love it. Love it. And
Wow.
one of my
Okay.
favorites ever that I watched play. One of my favorites that wasn't a Philly that I ever watched play.
Yeah, he they everybody who saw him play, and I remember, said he was just so happy to be out there. He played with joy, and that's why it was called the Kid. He played with such energy, like kid-like enthusiasm, and he was. I just remember him being so clutch in the '86 World Series. It seemed like every hit he got was huge,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
1982 season. Some people regard it as as definitely one of if not the best season a catcher ever had. I'm looking at the numbers. I don't know if I would go that far, but I would definitely say it's one of the best ever. I don't know if it is the best, but he had batted 293, 29 homers, 97 RBIs, 163 hits, 91 runs, a 381 on base percentage for an 890 OPS in 82. And like I said, that 70.2 WAR is another big number for me. And
Yeah.
the
Did you
fact
say
that,
already, Craig? I think you did, but I just want to make sure that it was the second highest for a catcher of all time.
um, yes, well, I don't know if I said it or not, but it is. That's what I have as the second highest. Yes.
Yes, which was that surprised me a little bit. And I love Gary Carter. I knew he was going to be on my list. I did not expect that, and that just speaks to just how good he was, even when I had high expectations.
Yep. Absolutely. Big. Yeah. So he had 1,200 RBIs too on his career.
Yeah, he was a
Mhm.
beast, dude. 324 taters. I mean, he had counting stats for sure. He lasted a long time, and he stayed healthy for a long time.
Yep. Absolutely. So that's my guy, number 8, Gary Carter. Jordan, do you have him on the list?
I do, but I'll actually. Well, I'll just say he was my number three.
Oh, gee. Oh, okay.
Love it. And you can make a good case. I mean, listen, just by WAR, he's number 2.
Yeah, and I wouldn't really say that he gets underlooked, but when you talk catchers, like especially the guys on the MLB Network, I feel like no one really talks about him as much. And Gary Carter, I think it was like I said, well, from when I've known, I've always known him like with the Mets and stuff and that career. But yeah, like you guys said, he was
He was
one
with
of
the
the great.
Expos a long time.
Yeah, well, he actually when he went into the Hall of Fame, he actually went in as an Expo, and people thought he was gonna go with the Mets, and he said no. He's like, Expos is where I started, and he goes, I gotta show them some love. So he went in the Hall of Fame. On his plaque is the Montreal Expos logo. So I
That's
think that's pretty
fantastic.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it's very cool. Very
but
cool.
yeah, no, he definitely one of the greatest catchers, and just by the numbers and how you guys said it, I put him at number three. He was, that might be a little bit too high, but I had to put him up there.
I got no problem with that at all.
None. Zero. And this, like, honestly, right there, 7 through 1 for me was almost impossible. Like it was so hard. So yeah, honestly, I could throw that all into a shaker, pull them all out again, and be just fine with whatever order came out. Yeah, no, that's a great one, man. Yeah, he was one of my favorites to watch. He was a heck of a player, and he was good for a long, long time.
Hmm.
He was just all around good. There was nothing he was, I would say, absolutely, the greatest ever at, but he was good at everything.
A
There was
hundred
nothing
percent.
he was bad at.
100%. And in the era he played in, he had um, definitely way above average power at his position, like for the
Yep.
for the era. So yeah, no, he was something special, man. I love that he's there, and he was my number 7.
Yep. My number 8 and your number 3. All right. Cool.
All right, ready for my number 8?
Yep.
Go for it.
Okay, curious to see if this guy made anybody's list. And I'm going to start with his nickname because I love a good nickname, and this might be the best one on the list today. Old Tomato Face, Gabby Hartnett.
Gabby Hartnett was on my. He was on my 8 that didn't make my list, but I definitely considered him.
Love it. Jordan?
No, he did not make my list.
Right on. And understandable. He's on that borderline area between where you could have put 8 other guys in easily. But I love this guy. And the nickname Old Tomato Face. I mean, come on. Let's go.
I was like, I think that's
that, that alone may have bumped him up a couple notches.
I want to say this. Alex finds like one of the funniest either nicknames or names we've ever had on the podcast. Like what was the other one that I'm still not over with? No, Hodness Wagner, his brother, Butts Wagner.
Yeah.
What was
Like
this? What was his brother?
his brother was Butts Wagner,
Butts Wagner.
Butts. And I swear to God, I remember you saying that on the podcast. I told my dad that, and
Oh, yeah?
it was literally 5 minutes. My dad's like, that's no way his name was that. He looked it up, and he sent me a text message of emojis of him laughing, and it was like I swear I was scrolling for 5 minutes because it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. Like Al, you find like the funniest nicknames I've ever have on
Oh,
on this podcast. It's awesome.
I love it. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for saying that. I get a kick out of it, so that's why I do it. It just makes me laugh. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying it too. So let's dig into Old Tomato Face, Gabby Hartnett. So he played for the Cubs all in 21 of a 22 season career, or 20 of a all but one season of his career, and he ended up in New York for his last season. 55.5 WAR. Um, his lifetime average 297, OPS 859, which is very impressive. 236 homers, 1179 RBIs. Won an MVP in 1935, 6-time All Star. Oh, I have it highlighted here. His 1930 season, and Craig, you were just talking about the Gary Carter season, and absolutely one of the best for a catcher. Well, check this one out if I can find it. 1930. Here we go. Okay, 1930. Gabby Hartnett bats 339, 404 on base percentage, OPS of 1.034, 37 taters, 122 RBIs.
How did he finish 14th in the MVP?
What the hell was going on that year? I noticed that too. Like,
Dang.
what were 13 other people doing that
Yeah, what the hell? Holy cow,
year?
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
37,
something else, man.
122, 84 runs, 339, and 404 on base, and a 1.034, and he comes 14th?
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine that. I mean, that's like Babe Ruth was probably hitting, 58 home runs or something, and there
I'm
was.
looking up right now 1930 MVP.
Yeah, let me know. I'm going to say Babe Ruth.
No, Babe Ruth was 10th.
Wow.
What?
Babe Ruth was 10th with 49 home runs, 153 RBIs,
Was
and a
it Hank
batting average
Greenberg?
of 359 batting average and a 493 on base and a 1200 OPS, and he was 10th.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
Oh, I
understand.
insane.
just found
Actually,
it.
the
Okay.
fact that he didn't win it is kind of a. There must have been a big uproar because the guy who won it is nowhere near.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, Craig. Joe
Joe
Cronin.
Cronin with 13 home runs, 126 RBIs, 346 batting average. He had a lower batting average, lower on base, lower slugging, lower OPS.
Well, you know who should have won it, Craig? And it's not Babe Ruth, and even though what a great case.
Lou
It's
Gehrig.
Hack Wilson. That's the year he hit 191 RBIs.
Right, right. And he was, where the hell is he?
I don't even know. It doesn't say.
I don't even see him.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, that season was wild. Holy moly!
Gehrig
That's
had 173 RBIs.
what was going on that year. What was going on that year? Were they playing all their games in Colorado?
I don't understand Joe Cronin with 127 runs, 126 RBIs, 200 hits. That's good stuff.
That's a hell
But
of a year, but not compared to these other guys.
not even close.
Dang! Wow, that's wild, dude. Wild. So
But
wow.
going back to your Mickey Cochran, he was number 8 that year.
Well, Mickey, man, yeah, that was one of his big years. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so it's just a wild year in baseball history, and he had one of those years for the ages. Here's two other things about good old Tomato Face. One, he was the guy who was catching when Babe Ruth called his shot.
Oh, really?
How about that for a piece of Americana? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
come on.
Yes, he was on the wrong end of that. That's
Yeah,
right.
and
100%.
he swore until the day he went to his grave that Babe was not calling his shot, that he was pointing at the dugout. and, and then here's another interesting piece of baseball history that I vaguely remember reading about when I was a kid, but I honestly didn't remember a whole lot about it. Has either of you ever heard he was involved in one of the greatest baseball war moments of all time, called the Homer in the Gloamin'? Does this ring a bell to anybody? Because it was very vague to me. I had to read about
No,
it to remind myself.
No,
nope.
no.
Okay. Well, first of all, the Homer in the Gloamin' came from a headline. It was based on a Scottish love song called Roman in the Gloamin'. All right. And that came out in 1909, by the way. And here's the description of the Homer in the Gloamin'. September 28th, 1938, they had reached the bottom of the ninth. This is at Wrigley Field, with the score tied at 5 runs apiece. With darkness descending on a Wrigley Field that would not have artificial lighting for another 50 years, the umpires ruled that the ninth inning would be the last to be played. At the time, suspended games did not provide for games to be suspended due to darkness. They would have had to replay the whole game. So nothing would have counted if this game didn't end that inning. And who came up? Old Tomato Face, and parked one into the left field bleachers. Game over as it was heading into darkness. Homer in the Gloamin', Gabby Hartnett.
That's fantastic. Real quick, we were looking up the MVPs. If you scroll down a little farther, the NL MVPs are there, and Hack Wilson actually won it in 1930.
Oh, he did. Okay, okay.
He had
All right. I don't
56
know why
home
that was
runs and
popping up when I was looking for
he had
AL MVPs. Okay, good,
he had
good.
191 RBIs.
That's still a record, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's insane. 191 RBIs. It's crazy.
Did you know there was somebody named, like Babe Ruth's real name is George Herman Ruth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a player from on Brooklyn who was number 5 in the MVP voting in the National League that in 1930, and his name was Babe Herman.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Babe Herman. Yes,
I've
yes,
never heard of Babe Herman, but that's kind of crazy that his name is so close to Babe Ruth.
yes.
Yeah,
I
that's
In
funny.
remember being
in
fascinated by that
1930,
when
he
I was a
batted
kid.
in
Actually.
1930 he batted 393. But anyway,
Yeah, Babe Herman. Oh, and by the way, his real name is Floyd Caves,
wow.
like where you go spelunking. Caves. How about that?
That's awesome.
We could do a whole pot on nicknames sometime.
Oh, we probably could. You can do a podcast on a lot of weird things. What
Yeah, that's
weird
awesome.
batting stances, weird pitching motions.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, you can do a lot of. You can do a podcast on a lot of stuff in baseball.
That's awesome. I'm so with you. All right. Well, there's my Gabby Hartnett thing. And my number 7 was taken. So wherever we'll.
Dude,
All right.
I was saying, did we lose Alder?
Sorry, guys. I got a call. I got blocked off for 5 seconds there.
Oh no, you're good. I thought we lost you. I'm like, oh,
I'm back.
all right,
All
cool.
right, so we're on number 7 now, right?
Yes. And my number
Yes.
7 was taken. I don't know if I got cut off before I said
Yeah,
it.
mine was as well. Mine was Campanella.
I was Gary Carter.
Okay, so I guess I go. I don't know if he made any of your list, but I had to put him in there because I think he's definitely on top and definitely a future Hall of Famer. Um, very very soon. But I'm gonna go with a guy who this is from what I've known and I remember hearing about it has the most consecutive opening day starts with 15. He's a 10-time All-Star and a 2-time World Series winner, and I am going with Yadier Molina.
You
Aha.
guys, all the Gen X's love Yadier Molina. Your
Yes.
dad
Yes.
loves him too. Your dad loves him.
I think it's because you know what he is one of, and it's very hard to see catchers now do this. He played for 15 straight years. And actually longer than that, however long his career was. I think it was like 20 years or 19. Every game was behind home plate. He never DH'd. He never went to first base. He always was behind home plate. And it's very hard to do right now because a lot of catchers either get hurt or they have to move to first base because of their legs. He spent every single year behind the plate. And you want to talk about a guy defensively, Yadier Molina is probably the definition of catchers behind the plate.
Yeah. He was one of my guys on the border. He didn't make my list, but
He was on
it's
the border as well for me. 42.3 WAR.
yeah, and that is why I kept him off in the end. I just had to. I was trying to figure out ways like how do I cut this down because it was so hard, and a lot of times I just ended up going with WAR. But and that's not a perfect stat, so it bothers me to even go with it sometimes. But it is some kind of way of measuring it. I watched that guy play. We all did. I thought he was one of the best defensive catchers I've ever seen in my life. So he's almost like it's almost like the Ozzie Smith thing, you know because his offensive numbers don't hold up to any of the other catchers on this list. But he was so good defensively that I absolutely am for him being on somebody's list, 100%.
Yeah, definitely has to be considered. He was right there. Everything Jordan said, I echo. He was there for so long, did it at a high level for a very long time, and defensively, he's very hard to beat for sure.
For real,
Mm.
for real.
Yeah, and because I still remember plays that he's throwing runners out at second base and he's on his knees. Like
Yeah,
you don't see that a lot. Like he and like and also it's one motion too, which I loved about Yachty. Like he'll go on and he'll just like automatically, like it was like an instinct or something. Like as soon as he catches the ball, one motion and the guy's out, like 3 feet. Like Yachty was just he, like you say, he wasn't good at the bat, but he was great defensively. And you want to talk about how I always say it that catchers make the best managers. Well, he does. He's saying that within the next couple of years he wants to manage, and
Mm,
he will be a great manager if he ever gets the opportunity.
I'd be interested.
Yeah, for sure. How many Molinas were in the league at one time when he was playing? There was
3
one
or
year
no,
I think it
2
was
more.
like four Molinas.
It was
No,
Yachty, Benji. Who's the other one? I know you were. There was at least
Jose.
three. Jose.
Yep.
Jose Molina. So maybe there was three. Either way, there's a lot of Molinas in baseball at the same time.
And they were,
Incredible.
and to be not to like to say that, but all 3 of them were actually really really good.
Yeah, and they were
It's
all catchers.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. What are the odds of that? That's wild, man.
What's still I find funny, and I think you could look it up. I want to say that he was with the Giants at the time. Um, but go look. I forgot the year, but look up Benji Molina, where I think he hits an inside the park home run at Fenway Park. And
No
like
way.
I swear you gotta watch it. It's he's and the announcers are cheering him on like he's coming on third base, and all you hear the announcer for Benji is "Go, come on, go, go, go," and then he like slides in to call him safe, and they cheer like you can hear the production team and everybody is cheering Benji Molina on.
That's so awesome, man. I love that. I did not remember that. That's great. A
Yeah,
catcher
so
getting inside the
yeah.
Parker is awesome.
Oh, no, and also another thing I forgot to mention: him and Adam Wainwright hold the record for consecutive games by pitcher and uh, and catcher.
On opening day?
No, just in general. Like they, so he's
Okay.
yeah,
Wow, I didn't know that.
yep. They broke the record on Yachty years last year in the big leagues.
Wow. That's awesome. That's yeah. I'm glad. I know that was another one that was tough to leave off, and I'm glad he made somebody's list because yeah, he was great.
Hmm.
I'm just wondering now if there's anybody that's going to show up that's not on even my 8 people that didn't even make my list. So far, they're all. I had them all written down somewhere. I'm
Yep, right
wondering if
there.
some.
I'm right there with you, Craig.
All right, so do we just jump to number 6 then?
Okay, who's
Yeah,
up?
because our number yeah, our number sevens are already done. So go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the guy who probably has the most, or I'll say the best um, home run walk off, and I think you guys know I'm going with. I am going with my number 6, Carlton Fisk.
Love it.
My number 6 is Carlton Fisk.
Oh, that's great.
Nice.
Yeah, my number three is Carlton Fisk, and
Okay.
this, I mean, honestly, I could swap him with who I have at number six and feel pretty good about it. So it's that's awesome. I'm glad we're talking about it. And you're right, maybe one of the, if not the most iconic walk off home runs of all time.
Yep, with the waving,
Yep, the Wayfair and jumping and all that stuff. Huh. But
and
yeah, no. Oh, go ahead.
he and him and Munson had quite the rivalry too.
Oh,
Hmm.
And that's one of the best things I like about Munson is he really really hated the Red Sox, and that's perfect.
oh, I agree so much. Back in the days when rivalries were rivalries, and he
Yeah.
lived it to a T, and I love that.
Oh,
Absolutely, yeah. He never won a championship. 11-time All Star, Rookie of the Year, Gold Gloves, Silver Slugger, Hall of Fame, all that good stuff. Never won a championship. I did not realize that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
well, he played for the Red Sox and the White Sox, most
Yeah.
of his career, which never won crap. So yeah, no, that's and by the way, the original Pudge.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, a couple counting stats on him that are big. I mean, he's second of all time for catchers and home runs, 376, 1,330 RBIs. This dude, he had 128 steals,
Yep.
which shocked the hell out of me. um, Second all time in runs for a catcher, 1,276. So yeah, he was a beast, man. Oh, and my one fun stat for Pudge is this dude caught. Did you guys know this? Because I didn't remember this. He
Mhm.
caught all. This is a record. He caught all 25 innings of the White Sox 7-6 win over the Brewers in the second longest game of all time.
He caught 25 straight innings. Wow.
Boom. That guy was a
Holy
tank.
cow! Wow.
That dude was, and he was 6'3", 200 plus pounds, which was, the further back you go, the bigger that gets.
He
And
he
playing
caught
it,
for 24 years.
yes,
God.
yes, almost
Oh,
as many
that's
years as were
yeah.
in as innings in that game.
It's crazy. And then actually, I got his games behind the plate. He actually caught 2,226 games behind home plate.
Is that the
Incredible.
most ever?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not
Yeah, I
sure.
don't know. I haven't looked that
Should have
up.
had that.
Yeah, that actually been great. But
I'm gonna find it.
yeah,
Most
what
games of.
could you say about, like you said, you guys, Carlton Fisk, definitely up there. I was considering putting him in my
Oh,
top five. Oh, go ahead.
the other
Yeah,
Pugs.
it's somebody we're going to be talking about soon.
Ivan Rodriguez has 2,400 games played behind the plate. Carlton Fisk has 22. Bob Boone 2,200. Yadier Molina 2,100.
Oh,
Fisk is
okay.
in second over Bob Boone by one game,
Yes, he is.
and you know
He,
that was on purpose.
yes, it was. You know it was.
Yeah,
I
wow.
Because
love it.
when he retired, he had the most ever, obviously.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. Wow, I love it. That's awesome. Yep, he was a great one.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And you, like you said, you never see uh, catcher do his thing. Like you said, he caught 24 years, which now, if a catcher's still playing, he's moving to first base.
What
Which,
what a man's man kind of guy. He had
Yeah.
a 68.5 WAR, but this story that I heard is fantastic. Uh,
Mhm.
a young, pompous, arrogant Deion Sanders
Oh, I love it. Yes.
came to the plate and did his signature drawing in the dirt a dollar sign at the plate in front of him.
Yep.
Mhm.
And Carlton Fisk told Dion, if you don't erase that and start playing the game the right way, I'm going to kick your ass.
Nice.
That's. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I meant to write that down and I didn't, and I would have forgot. So thank you for bringing that up because that was one of my favorite
Oh,
things
that's
I
like
read
the
doing this whole
oh, that's
thing.
the best story ever.
Oh, oh man, you know how much I would pay to watch him actually do that back then?
Oh, and
Wow.
also, forgive me if I'm mixing up uh my catchers here, but isn't he also the one? He's also the guy that against the Yankees where he tagged out two runners in the same play, right?
That I don't know.
Oh, I have the image in my head of that
Right?
play. I
Like
can't.
they're both rounding third, and he tags one, and then he goes on the other, and he tags the other out.
Yes, I remember
I
that.
want to say that's him.
I think you're right, Jordan, but I can't swear to it. I think you're
That
right
yeah,
though.
that'd be very difficult to look up too. But yeah, I think you're probably right. It probably is him.
Which is great. Which is probably I don't know. I could go on with catchers and doing great plays like Joe
It
Mauer.
was him. I found it. Believe it or not, I can't
Was it
believe it.
him? Okay, I was right.
So
Because I
here it is.
still
In the seventh inning, Ricky Henderson hits a fly ball to left center. Bobby Meacham, the lead runner, waited between second and third for the ball to drop before taking off for home. Dale Barra was close behind, and both runners arrived at third base almost at the same time. Fisk
Oh, I'm
tagged.
watching it. I'm watching it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I found the clip.
And then
yeah,
If you
Fisk
want to
and
tagged
watch
both
it on
runners at the plate
YouTube,
to
it's
keep the
called
game
Two Runners
3-3.
Out at Home on the Same Play.
Yeah.
Guys, both of them out, which is crazy because I don't know how he did that. I don't know how he did that.
Well, I'm watching it right now. It was pretty. It wasn't exactly tough. I mean, the Bobby Meacham part of it, it was just a regular throwout, and then right behind him was, I don't know who was it right behind him, Dale Barra.
Yeah,
Regardless of who it
yeah.
was, he didn't really do anything either. Didn't even really slide. Bobby Meacham tried to take him out. He lowered his shoulder, but Fitz kind of sidestepped it, and then Dale Bear was like just right behind him, and he just tagged him. Dale Bear didn't do anything. He just ran normal.
Yeah, which is awesome. But that tells you too, like, because I think of that play. Another play is well, he didn't make my list. But Joe Mauer. If you actually look up the first year at of the new Yankee Stadium, right? I forgot who was up to bat, but they either bunted the ball or he hit the ball and was right in front of Joe Mauer at the plate, right? Joe Mauer picks up the ball, he's getting ready to throw it at first, and a rookie Brad Gardner takes off for home plate where Joe Mauer does like a spin, dives at home plate head first, and gets Brett Gardner out at
Oh, I
home
remember
plate.
that. I do remember that one. Yep, absolutely.
That that was another great play by a catcher. But yeah,
No doubt.
Carlton Fisk.
Oh,
Fantastic.
by the way, if we're talking great plays about catchers, I gotta throw the one that you used to see, Craig. We used to see this all the time on This Week in Baseball.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I watched that a lot.
Me too. And it was the one where Pete Rose drops the foul ball and Bob Boone is backing him up right under him and catches it. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, it bounces off of Pete. Yeah,
Oh
Yep.
yes, yep.
And that was the ultimate video to play kids to show them how, like, fundamentals, like
I think that
always.
that play was also in Major League, or not Major League. Uh, Naked Gun.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Remember Naked Gun at the during the seventh inning stretch? They were showing clips
Hmm.
Yes.
on the board, and if you look, I think one of those plays on the clips is that one,
Oh, that's awesome.
and of course then they mixed in ridiculous ones where like a tiger was on the field and stuff,
Yeah.
but
That's awesome. I forgot that
they
that was
threw a few real
oh,
ones in there as well.
good call. I love that.
Yeah. Uh,
All
all right. No.
right.
So you said
So
your number. Oh, go ahead.
Al's number 6.
Oh, my
Al's
number
number
six.
6.
Okay. All right, here we go. Now, again, this is where it got real tough, and there were two guys I have back to back in the next two spots that have the exact same WAR. They honestly couldn't be more different players, but number six, I went with Mike Piazza.
Okay, he's my number 5.
Right
Get
on,
out of
right
here!
on.
Get out of here! He's my number 5.
All
Nice,
right. So we're doing 5 and 6.
nice, perfect. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt he's the best offensive catcher of all time, and if he could, he never got. Somehow he avoided the steroid thing, having played right through that era.
Well,
Um,
he definitely got accused. There's still people who think he did it.
yeah, no doubt, but he never got the black tag on him of definitely, or I admitted it, or I lied before
Right.
Congress. So
Right, which is why he got to the Hall of Fame.
exactly, exactly. So and so it's kind of hard to judge that era, but I mean, he stood out amongst that era. So if he did it clean, it's even more impressive. But 59.5 WAR. He played 1,630 games at catcher. And that was after about 200 games in, everybody was trying to get him to play another position. And he just steadfastly refused, and good for him. Rookie of the year, 12-time All-Star, 10-time Silver Slugger. Uh, Top five. He never won an MVP, but was top five 4 times and second twice.
Yep, yep. He
We
was
all
on the
know
MVP. He got MVP votes every year of his career from '93 to '02, except one.
yeah, I think he finished like ninth or 12th or something the year when he was rookie of the year, which is incredible.
Yeah, he was
Um,
ninth rookie of the
Ninth.
year.
Uh the legend about him that we all probably know that is always bears repeating is that he was only drafted by the Dodgers as a favor to Tommy Lasorda, who is his uncle, I think, right?
Yeah, he was related to him somehow.
somehow. Yep. And so, we might never have known about Mike Piazza if Tommy didn't ask for favors. And now this is a fun fact. If you ever listen to Craig and I do our football podcast, you've heard me talk about the Sunnybrook Ballroom and the podcast I used to do with Joel Richardson, Soul Joel. Well, here this is wild, dude. So Mike Piazza grew up in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, and went to Phoenixville High School. That is 20 minutes from the Sunnybrook Ballroom. And Joel, in between, before he bought the Sunnybrook Ballroom, he put shows on at a country club in Jeffersonville, PA, that was owned by Mike Piazza's cousin.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
so good. That's so cool.
Nice.
So I have these weird little 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon ties to Mike Piazza in a strange way. And then we can't do Piazza without talking about offensive stats because they are pretty mind-boggling. 308 average, 377 on base, 545 slugging, 922 OPS, which is first among catchers by 43 points.
Yep.
Eighth in hits at 2127, first in homers at 427, fifth in RBIs at 1335. And his slugging percentage of 545 is also the highest over any catcher by 43 points.
How about his? I just could not believe what I was seeing in his 1997 season. He batted 362
Wow.
as a catcher. 40 home runs, 124 RBIs, 104 runs, 201 hits, 362, over 1,000 OPS, and he didn't win the MVP.
I got to see who won the MVP that year.
1997 NL MVP.
Oh, I put in AL, NL MVP. Here we go.
It's probably like Bonds or Sosa or somebody or McGuire.
1997. Yeah, you're probably right. Oh, Larry Walker.
Oh,
Who
okay.
was he was doing that thing in Colorado where he when he was just absolutely tearing it up. Wow.
All right.
Huh.
Um,
Okay. Well, yeah. So last thing about Piazza on my end is just greatest offensive catcher of all time. Would have been higher on this list if his defense was better, but I could have put him as high as 3 and felt good about it.
Yep, me too.
and also, I mean, I had to write this down because I think it's still one of the most memorable moments in all of baseball. But September 21st, 2001, against the Atlanta Braves, he hit that home run after 9/11.
Oh yes. Wow. Great
That
And
call.
was huge. That was so significant and important.
yep, and I still believe that's probably one of the most memorable moments in baseball.
It's got to be like the best feel good moment ever. Like it
Hmm.
really like the most like necessary feel good moment ever. Like Hollywood couldn't have come close to doing as good a job as what actually happened.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So that was your number 6, Al?
Correct.
All right. So he was my number 5. And where was he for you, Jordan?
He was also my number 5. So
Nice.
Al, if you want to do number
So, Al,
5,
you're number 5.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's the guy that had the same exact war as Mike Piazza, 59.5. And this is how tired I was getting, I think, or just, I don't know, I was getting a little spacey or something. I'm not sure. I actually started to look up what was Yogi Berra's nickname. Which, if you think about it for a second, is pretty stupid because his nickname is Yogi. So I went with Yogi. This guy, man, and again, this was another guy I could have put up as high as number 3 and felt great about it.
I could have put him up at number 1 and felt good about it.
Yeah, maybe, yes, and I wouldn't argue that a ton at all.
I actually
I honestly
saw
wouldn't. I
the
honestly wouldn't.
list. The lists I looked at. I looked at like 5 lists. There was 3 with all the same guy that I'm sure is going to be number 1 for us. And then, but there was 2 that had Yogi number 1.
Oh, interesting. Well, see, I looked up like 30 lists, and they were all different, every single one of them. So that's another thing that made it so hard. I couldn't find consensus among anything except number one, and that wasn't always a consensus either.
Right.
So yeah, Yogi man, 1,695 games played at catcher, three-time MVP, 18. Well, okay, 15 years of being an all-star, played in 18 all-star games because of that thing where they used to play two all-star games. Um,
Yep.
Won, and this is the mind blower stat. Won 10 World Series, most ever.
Yep.
I mean, come on. He
But
played in 75 World Series games.
yeah, that's half a
That's
season.
that's incredible. Derek Jeter, who it felt like Derek Jeter was in every World Series for about 15 years. I know he wasn't, but it felt like it. Only played 38 World Series games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how dominant the Yankees and Yogi Berra were. Um, And one little fun side note, and then I have a page whenever we're ready of some Yogi quotes because we can't do Yogi without doing Yogi quotes. But the other neat thing about him, among a million other things, is he caught Don Larson's perfect game in the '56 World Series, which is one of the most iconic moments ever.
One.
Um, and then some stats for you: 285 average, 348 on base, 482 slugging, 830 OPS. Fourth all time in home runs, 358 for catcher. First in RBIs, 1430. Fourth in hits, 2150. I mean, it's all there. It's all there for Yogi. I don't know. It's weird that he's almost seems underrated to me, even though he gets plenty of credit because he was such a character. But my God, this guy was the real freaking deal, man. And for a long time, maintained excellence for a long, long time.
Jordan, where did you have Yogi?
I actually had him as my number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
I,
have I
I,
have him
I
I
won't
have
bust on
him
that at all.
I have him number 2.
And Al, you mentioned the Yogiisms, but every time I look up Yogi Berra, there's always some weird and wacky story, and I got a couple I want to share for you guys.
Do it.
Number one is probably my new favorite. I've never heard of this. So I read an interview with Hank Aaron. So the Yankees were playing the Braves, and Hank Aaron's up to bat. Yogi told Hank Aaron to hit with the label up in the bat. Hank Aaron a couple times to where he turned to Yogi. He got sorry about that. My headphone died. Um, but
Oh, good.
but yeah, no. So yeah, he told Hank Aaron about this a couple times to where the point Hank Aaron turns to Yogi and goes, "Yogi, I'm trying to hit here. I'm not trying to read." And then my other favorite one is I don't remember who the pitcher is. Maybe you guys heard the story, maybe you haven't. But he was catching, and the owner of the Yankees was behind home plate, obviously. So he he goes on, and the pitcher just doesn't have it. It keeps going to the backstop. It keeps it keeps getting by Yogi to after like the 10th pitch. The owner of the Yankees goes to Yogi. He goes, "Hey Yogi, how's the stuff?" Yogi goes, "I don't know. I haven't caught anything yet." And
Oh
then
man, that's awesome.
and then this is another funny one. I don't know if it's true or not. I kind of hope it's true. But every year, someone said on Jackie Robinson Day, he would call Rachel Robinson just to tell her that Jackie was out at home plate.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you guys ever seen these, but have you ever seen the day that Yogi passed away? There was people did all these drawings and all these nice things for Yogi Berra. That one of them did a joke. It was they painted it, and it was Robinson with his arm over Yogi, and Yogi smiling. He goes, "By the way, you were still out."
Oh man, that guy was a gem.
Absolutely. I got a few numbers here for you too. A couple extra little things.
Go for it.
Top four in MVP, 7 years in a row.
Oh, that's insane.
Top four. He averaged 24 strikeouts per season.
That's, with a guy that had power numbers like that, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Him and Joe DiMaggio are the only two players with 300 home runs and less than 500 strikeouts.
Wow.
Just him and Joe D. That's it.
Wow.
And I love the fact that everybody kind of went in on the quotes too and like did their own thing. The famous Sports Illustrated one was absolutely perfect, where he came back to be the manager of the Yankees and it said Yogi's back, but he had his back to the camera.
Yeah,
So it was a picture of Yogi's back, but he was also back as a manager.
that's awesome.
That's
That's so awesome.
absolutely perfect. And I just love how, because people just joined in after a while.
Yes.
And yeah, and I'm sure we'll hear some of the quotes that everybody knows, but go ahead.
All right. Well, here we go. There's a couple of the ones that everybody knows, like it ain't over till it's over. Baseball's 90% mental, the other half is physical. But I'm going to give you some of the ones that I didn't know. Um, you can observe a lot by watching. About a St. Louis restaurant. No one goes there anymore. It's too crowded.
He said that actually about baseball too, about baseball parks. The stadiums are
Oh,
so
did he
crowded.
really? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
the stadiums are so crowded that nobody goes.
That's awesome. That must have been a go-to line for him. That's awesome. If people don't want to come to the ballpark, well, wait, no, that one's not that good. We made we made too many wrong mistakes. Asked what he wanted for dessert: pie a la mode with ice cream. If you don't know, a la mode means with ice cream. On the great Sandy Koufax, I can see how he won 25 games. What I don't understand is how he lost five. And that's not a funny one. That's just accurate about how great Sandy Koufax was.
Yes. You better.
Um,
How about you better cut the pizza into 8 slices because I'm not hungry enough to eat 12.
What was the other? Oh, there's a fork in the road. Take it.
Yeah. If there's a fork in the road, take it. There's so many. I mean,
I got
we
one
could do
more
a whole
real quick.
podcast on 'em.
Got one more real quick. When he was being, this says he was being honored at his hometown of St. Louis during his rookie season. Okay, and he opened his speech by saying, "I want to thank everybody for making this day necessary."
If you ask me anything I don't know, if you ask me anything I don't know, I'm not going to answer. If you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else.
The future ain't what it used to be.
Yeah.
I usually take a 2-hour nap from 1 to 4.
If the world was perfect, it wouldn't be.
I'm not going to buy my kids an encyclopedia, let them walk to school like I did.
Oh man.
Oh.
Always go to other people's funerals, otherwise they won't come to yours.
On economics, a nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. Oh God! Whew. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, I
That's
am
so
too.
awesome.
We could go. We could just go on and on.
It never ends.
Well,
It never ends.
actually, if you guys want to watch something cool, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but for also the listeners who haven't seen it, go on Netflix, and there is a Yogi Berra
Oh,
documentary.
I watched that. That was fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I will. I'll
Oh
check it out for
yes.
sure.
It's great. It tells you about his story, but it also started off, and I did want to kind of bring it up. Back when the All Star game was in Cincinnati, and they celebrated the greatest living players, and he wasn't one of them.
Mm,
Which I like. To me, I think that's
that's insane.
yeah.
That
But
is absolute lunacy.
yeah,
Yeah.
But also the funny part is 'cause to tell you how funny he was until he ended up passing away. They she this his granddaughter was with him when they did that, and they honored those players. And his granddaughter does turn to Yogi. She goes, "Are you dead?" He goes, "I don't think so."
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
Yogi Berra, to
Oh,
this day, is just one of the all-time characters in baseball.
man.
Oh,
Yes.
probably
Yeah.
the all-time character. Just choosing one. It's probably him.
Yeah.
It's him. It's him. I mean, Casey Stengel's like probably a good close second, but Yogi Berra is by himself at number one.
Yeah, he's in a class by himself.
Yep.
Oh yeah. All right. So are we on number 4 or
Well, he was my number five.
5?
Yeah. So does
Yeah,
any?
and he was my number 2, and you're number 1, Jordan. So who's your number? Jordan, your number 5 was who?
My number 5 was Piazza.
Okay, mine too. So you're number 4.
Okay, so my number 4, um, again another relevant player, but I'm going with Ivan Rodriguez as my number
He's my
4.
number 4 too.
My number four as well.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
awesome. That's awesome.
Wow. We have two guys we had at the same time. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is. And the
Um,
second Pudge to make the list.
yes, he
Yes.
was. Which I don't know. Ivan Rodriguez to me was I want to say he was very similar to Yachty, but they definitely had played the same way, especially defensively. And then, just Pudge, just to throw some stuff at you, 14-time All-Star, 13 Gold Glove. He won the MVP in 99 where he hit 332, 35 home runs with 113 RBIs. And, earlier we were talking about Carlton Fisk and great plays at the plate. Every time I think of Pudge, I think of the '03 NLCS where
Mm,
he holds on to the ball after getting run over.
he got trucked. Yep.
Yep. And, he pulls up the ball. The fans get excited, which is so awesome to watch. I still get chills watching that.
I'm right there with you. That was yeah. That was one of those like Marlins buy a team for a year and then it implodes, but that was a magical 1 year team.
Yep.
It really was. Yeah, Pudge, 68.7 OPS, and he threw out over 50% of all people trying to steal for 9 years.
That's
Not
insane.
in nine. I'm sorry, 9 times, not consecutive, but 9 times in his career, he threw out 50% or more of the base runners trying to steal.
That's nuts, dude.
Totally
Uh,
crazy.
but but I mean, like, it's just how he was. Like, he was another guy who did well defensively. And yes, I think like I say, he is a Hall of Famer, which he rightly deserves. But like you said, he was so good behind the plate. It's just nuts to think that he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it, man. He was like it was like he was basically Yadier Molina with monster offense.
Hmm.
Which is why he's a few spots ahead. I mean, he is just he was the whole deal. I mean, he is probably the best catcher I ever saw play his entire prime. A lot of these guys on the list, like Carlton Fisk and Gary Carter, I saw in the back, and they were still great. Especially Gary Carter, when I saw more of his prime than Carlton Fisk. But but I never saw them play from when they were 22 or whatever. You know what I mean? I saw Pudge's whole career, and he was incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. You could again.
That 1999 season, wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Over 100 runs, over 100 RBIs, 35 dongs, almost 199 hits, 332, 914 OPS. Wow, that
Incredible,
was a
man.
great year. Yeah, he had some. It took him a little while to get really, really big offensive numbers. His first few years, I remember he was great defensively, and I was like, if he can get going a little bit more offensively, and then 96, he hit 300. Still only 19 homers though. 97, 313, 98, 321, and then it all came together in 99 with the most home runs he ever hit, which was that 35. But yeah, I remember when A Rod signed with Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and we were sitting around talking about the fact that he signed that $250 million contract, and and I was my biggest defense was he's not even the best player named Rodriguez on his team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yep. And true.
He's not the best player on his team. He's not even the best player named Rodriguez.
Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. That's a great line and absolutely accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
one.
can't rave enough about Pudge.
No,
Can't rave enough.
no. But to the fact that he was like, I don't. I also felt like he made the pitchers and each team that he was like better. Like he worked with each and pitcher that every team that he was on. We all know his stint with the Rangers, but his time with Detroit, where he worked with I want to say maybe I don't know if it was his rookie year or maybe like 2-3 years after, but he worked with Justin Verlander all the time. Like and he worked with some guys with the Yankees for a little bit when he got traded over there. The guys in Washington, towards the end of his career, he worked with them. He always worked with the pitchers, and it kind of blows my mind the stories you hear. It was like if something was wrong, you know the the pitching coach wasn't there. Rodriguez was there to be like to always work with these guys, and every bullpen session, he always he just watched what was wrong with these pitchers and let them know. Like that's how smart he was.
Yeah, man. No, he was one of the best ever at handling pitchers, and he brought offense too, which is why he's so high on this list. And could have, again, another guy. Honestly, you could make a case all the way up to number one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, by
yep.
the way, this one of if we're talking offense and Pudge, maybe the most impressive stat maybe is 2,844 hits, which is first for catchers by almost 600.
Wow.
Damn. Nice.
I mean, that's just like ass kicking. So yeah, man, he's a beast, man. He also is the only other catcher I wrote down a steal number for, other than Carlton Fisk, both Pudges, and he stole 127.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, the reason why he can be regarded as number one is because you can make a case that he's the best defensive catcher ever, and after Piazza, the best offensive catcher ever as well.
100% agree.
Mhm.
And the reason why
Absolutely.
he's got to go ahead of Piazza is because his defense is miles beyond Piazza's.
Way better than Piazza, way higher than Piazza's defense than Piazza's offense is over his.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. So if you can make the case of the best offensive and the best defensive player, he's got to be in contention for the best one ever at that position.
No doubt. 100%.
I agree. All right. So he was all of our number fours, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So
My number three was Fisk. So if anybody has a number three left, if either of you guys do,
well, my 3 was Gary Carter. We already talked about him.
Craig,
My three, you guys are probably going to be like, what in the hell?
I like it already.
Oh, I'm excited.
My number three is from the Negro Leagues.
Okay.
You guys in front of computers, or at least Al, are you in front of a computer?
Oh yes.
Go to baseballreference.com.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're there, at the top of the search field, type Josh Gibson.
Oh, I don't
Oh,
have to because Craig,
yes.
he is my number one.
Oh, okay. Well, if you just do that anyway and check it out, look how many they put in bold when you lead the league in something in a category for statistics. His entire page is just bold.
Yeah, I know, man. It's nuts. It's nuts. And here's my real quick, and then go wherever you want with this. One of my favorite things about baseball references, and a little touch on the conversation to come here. Negro League statistics are incredibly difficult.
Yes,
This
very
is not
difficult.
the this is not all his stats right here, but what is there is probably accurate, but this is not even close to all his stats. But here's the one that makes me just jump out of my chair. If you because the Negro Leagues never had 162 game seasons or 145 or whatever they were in MLB back then. They were
No.
half of that
No.
or less.
Yeah, he
And
played. I mean, there's years he played 39 games
yeah,
total.
Yep.
now, what MLB, what Baseball Reference does that I love, Craig, is they do the player's 162 game average stats.
Yeah, yeah.
His 162 game average stats are 45 home runs, 197 RBIs, 373 batting average, 458 on base percentage, 718 slugging, OPS of 1.176.
197 RBIs.
He
That's
beat
on
Zach Wilson
average.
on
That's
an
on
average
average.
year for himself. So go to town. I have a lot to say about him because he was my number one guy. Go to
Well,
town.
the biggest mystery for me is how the hell his WAR is only 38.3. I don't get that.
You know what it is, Craig? And I figured it out finally. It's just because there's not enough counting stats. The reason guys accumulate WAR is because they play for long times and their WARs grow based on, like a great season. If a guy gets hurt 80 games in, his WAR's not, and his numbers are astronomical. It's not going to be the same WAR as if it was if he played 162 games.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they
Well,
lose
his
a ton of
nickname,
WAR.
to go back to nicknames, his nickname was the Black Babe Ruth.
One of the best of all time.
1.176 career OPS. You mentioned 373 batting average. Just absolutely crazy. He batted over 400 3 times. And in 1943, he batted 466. Batting average, not on base, batting average. His on base that year was 560.
Incredible.
His
Incredible.
OPS was 1400.
Yeah. I mean, the numbers are just insane.
And by the way, he had another 1400 year, OPS earlier in his career in 1937, where he batted a mere 417 with 500 on base. He had a
It's not-
1300 OPS. I mean, his OPS was over 1,000 every year of his career. I'm
yeah,
looking at his career right now. There was not one season there where he was under 1,000.
it's
Even his
insane.
last year, his OPS was 1.026.
Insane. His career is insane.
But yeah, the bold numbers that are league leaders, his whole page is just bold numbers pretty much. I mean, there's just a few that aren't, but other than that, just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh, all right, let me throw some stuff at you here because this was a tough it was so hard to figure out who to put where. But here's one thing that's been going on in the MLB stats world that I wasn't really aware of until we did this little exercise, which is so cool. They have revisited Josh Gibson's and the old they're revisiting the entire Negro leagues
Yep.
and they're coming up with better stats and more complete and more accurate stats. And after doing that, they now consider Josh
Mhm.
Gibson to have the highest batting average in MLB history. He has taken over Ty Cobb with a 372 batting average to Cobb's, I think, at 367.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. I
It's oh, go ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying yes. I think they actually started doing that about like last year. They're starting to look
Exactly.
into that. Which I mean, if they're doing that, then got one name, and this is probably considered for when we do pitcher. John Donaldson, who has over 500 career wins.
Oh, heck yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just I think they started doing that. I believe last off season to coming into 24, they made that official to put the stats and recognize the players up in the Negro leagues.
And it's so cool to see them doing that. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all comes out in the end. But here's some of the stuff that happened since they've done this in the Josh Gibson universe. He now is the lead leaguer or the leading all-time batting average guy, as I said. He's
And by the way, Ty Cobb was such a bastard. I'm glad he got taken over.
well, and it's how great is it that a black dude overtook him?
Yeah, because he was a raging racist.
Exactly. I
Yep.
love it. There's no better justice in the history of baseball statistics than Ty Cobb getting taken over by a black man. I love it. I love it. His career slugging percentage is now number one over all time over Babe Ruth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
His career on base percentage, his career OPS is 1.177, which is insane.
Insane. It's crazy that he never had an OPS under 1,000 in his entire career.
It's bonkers. It doesn't make sense. Like, it's so good, it's insane. He has the highest single season batting average, 466.
Yep.
He has the highest single season slugging percentage at 974. That means all he had to do was bat 26.26 to get 1,000 OPS.
Well, when you have a 9, yeah, your slugging is over 900, yeah.
You already mentioned his crazy OPS thing that 1 year in 37, which was 1.474, and that's now the highest of all time.
And there's another 1,400 one, too.
Yes. Yeah, no, he's done it more than once, for sure. And now, this is one of the damn saddest things I've ever heard in a sports context. This dude died at 35. He had just turned a month after he turned 35. Okay. And guess what year that was?
What was that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
That's okay. He died at 35, a month after he turned 35 years old. Guess what year that was? He was still playing.
Um,
I doubt I'd get it either, but you're gonna the sad irony of it is gonna hit you when I tell you it was 1947, the year Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier.
yes.
So he was gonna have he was still hitting 400 and having 1,000 OPSs, at 35 years old. So we would have been able to find out exactly what would have happened. You know what I mean? And what a shame it was. 3 months later, Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier after Josh Gibson died.
That
Damn.
sucks. We got rocked.
Oh, what a shame! What a shame! And the last thing I want to say about Josh, for now anyway, is he was so good and so revered that they often called Babe Ruth the white Josh Gibson.
Nice.
Fantastic. Love it.
No, that's a good one. I like that.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
So he didn't make your list, Jordan?
No, he did not.
And it's understandable because you just look at his at the stats, and he only play. And they'll tell you he only in the counting stats they had prior to this reorganization thing they're doing. He only played like 500 games at catcher or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's understandable.
But it goes back to what you're saying. It's I wish in that league they played more games, because it's crazy to say that, like, these guys played so well and they played so good, not even in the Major League Baseball, like that, or like their own organization. And I wish they could have found a way to have played more. Like, here's something crazy, because since we're talking about it, John Donaldson is on the community era ballot. Guess how many seasons he played in the Negro Leagues?
Man,
Just throw it, bro.
20.
15, 18.
John Donaldson, as a pitcher, pitched 42 seasons in the Negro Leagues and pre-Negro Leagues. He pitched 42 seasons.
It's incredible.
And I remember I sent you guys his numbers. They're insane. and I'm happy that these guys are finally getting recognized
Yeah, me too.
because they deserved it. They 100 all these guys 100% deserve it.
100%. You know, and there was a great quote. I forget his Josh Gibson's manager's name that he had for a long time. Um, but somebody was trying to bust on Gibson's supposed greatness, saying he never played against in the major leagues, and specifically against what pitcher did he name?
Cy Young, Walter Johnson.
Walter John. It was Walter Johnson. Thank you, Craig. And the manager just popped back and said, "Yeah, well, Babe Ruth never played against Satchel Paige."
Oh,
So
there you go.
Yeah.
you know, it's the saddest thing of that whole era. You know that it was what it was racially at the time. It
Hmm,
stinks, but it's nice that they're going back and they're trying to give as much recognition to these great players that we didn't get to hear enough about.
I agree. Yes.
Awesome. So he was my number one.
He was my number 3.
Number 3. Okay. So we go to number 2 because
Yep, and that was mine was Yogi.
okay.
Jordan.
Well, we're gonna go to my number 2, and again, it goes to what we'll be saying the whole podcast. You can rearranged everybody and been happy with. But my number 2 is probably the leader of the Big Red Machine. I have Johnny Bench as my number 2.
So do I.
He's my number 1.
And he's who I thought was going to be number one going into this list easily, and it wasn't nearly as easy as I thought.
No, it definitely wasn't easy.
Nope. But again, what can you say? He was again around his time. He was
He was the man.
It was what? I'm sorry.
He was the man.
He was.
100%. And before I get into the numbers and everything, and I don't remember hearing this, but I looked it up and I saw this story, uh, but I can't find any details about it or anything. Did you guys know that after the 1970 season, his career was almost over?
Oh, I
No.
didn't. I don't remember this.
Yeah. Apparently, he had a bad throat injury that I guess he had to go for surgery, and the doctors told him that his career might have been over.
Wow.
I didn't know that, man. Wow.
Yeah, and I can't find the story. I can't go into details, but I looked it up. I'm like, that's fascinating to know. And in 1970, he might have been done.
And by the way, Jordan, first of all, great tidbit there. I didn't know that. And let me just throw out the 1970 stats that he would have retired off of if that was the case. Because we've talked a couple times about best seasons for catchers ever, and this is one of them for sure. 45 home runs, 148 RBIs, 932 OPS, 293 batting average, 345 on base, 587 slugging. I mean, good God, that's insane. And to think he almost had to retire after that, I never knew that. That's mind blowing.
And of course, great defense because he's probably one of the, if not the best defensive catcher ever.
10-time Gold Glover.
Yep.
Yep, 14-time All-Star.
Yeah, he's got every thing you want, like
It,
everything.
it did. And also, like, 2-time World Series winner with, of course, the Cincinnati Reds.
MVP of the '76 World Series.
Yep. And then, and he had a great career. And it's, like you said, was the man. He did basically everything. He could field, he could hit. He practically, well, a 5-tool player, really. And yeah, to think about that 70 season, I think I was up until like 1 in the morning last night to try to figure this out because I've never heard of it, but I couldn't find all the details on it. But yeah, that's the most thing that shocks me.
That's a great one, man. That's a great one. I never heard that before. And funny you said 5-tool player because you could also hold 5 baseballs in one hand.
Yes. Well, yeah, actually, I'm glad you bring that up. Someone actually, I don't remember how long ago it was, but someone actually took a picture or a video, and he holds 6.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of the number. There's one famous picture of him holding that number in both hands.
Yeah, it's insane.
He must have had just meat hooks, man. Just giant meat hooks for hands.
Yeah,
He's the
it's
first catcher ever to lead the league in home runs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
First catcher to ever do it.
That's
wow,
amazing. After all the numbers we've read off today, that's amazing that Yogi never did it, or Dickey, or any of them. Wow,
nice.
incredible, incredible. And listen, while we're talking about Johnny Bench, and I know Craig will appreciate this, and Jordan, knowing you know about this too. And if you haven't, you got to look it up. Although I would bet you know about it. And that is one of my favorite things of my entire youth. I would have been 8 years old in 1982 when the Baseball Bunch debuted, and boy, did I love that, man. The
The
Chicken,
baseball.
Tommy
Yes.
Lasorda as the dugout wizard, and that
Yes.
cast of kids, and they would show fundamentals and all this stuff. It was the best.
The baseball bunch. Yeah, that's a great pull. I forgot completely about that.
Man, that was it was like every Saturday morning. I just look forward to. They would play where I lived. It was that back to back with This Week in Baseball, Twib Notes.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing as me. Twib notes, yeah.
I'd watch that, and then I'd watch Kung Fu Theater on a different channel.
With Mel Allen hosting Twib.
Who was it?
Mel Allen, I
Mel
think.
Allen with the voice. Oh, one of the best voices ever, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Also in The Naked Gun.
I didn't remember that either. Was he the announcer or something?
He it was when they went to the baseball game and Leslie Nielsen became the umpire to try to search everybody. They had like 8 announcers. It was all of them. It was it was Mel Allen. It was oh man, I'm
Was it
not gonna
Harry
remember them.
Carey or
No, geez.
Wasn't it oh my god, the college guy.
Dick
Uh
Vitale.
yeah, Dick Vitale was in there.
Dick
oh,
Vitale was one of them. Oh,
Okay.
Dr. Ruth was one of them.
Doctor Who?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's so stupid. Jim McCarver or
Jim
Yep,
Jim
Tim McCarver.
Tim
Tim
McCarver.
McCarver. Thank you, Tim McCarver.
Speaking of catchers,
Yeah, there was like 8 or 9 of them, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, and
that's
the Dodgers guy.
Vin
Uh,
Scully.
yeah, Vince Scully. Yeah,
Get out! I got to man. That's awesome. I've watched that movie a million times, but I forgot that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, no, I've seen that movie. That's a good one.
I
Jordan,
think
so have you ever seen the Baseball Bunch? Do you know about this?
Definitely have seen some clips, which is
Okay. Yeah, because
weird.
your knowledge for your age is insane. So I figured you probably came across it at least still somewhat.
I appreciate you saying that.
With massive respect, absolutely.
Thank
I
you. I appreciate it.
think now that's everybody because your number one Jordan was Yogi,
Yes.
mine was Bench, and your number one Al was Josh.
Yeah,
So
we just ran the list, man. We did it.
Yeah.
we
No,
totally did it. Just out of curiosity, the 8 that didn't make your list that you had, is there anybody that we didn't mention on there? Because
Oh,
I have
I'm
like
glad
4
you asked
guys.
that, Craig. Let me take a peek here. Let's see. Oh yeah, there were a couple actually.
Yeah,
Two. Were there any for you? We could go one for one.
sure. I had Buster Posey as one.
Okay.
yep. He was on
Okay.
mine.
Great one. Absolutely. And then I'll give you a modern one. Then it was tough to leave off was Joe Mauer.
Joe Mauer was another one on mine.
Hmm.
Their parallels are insane. Those two.
Yep, both great. Both great.
Yep.
Okay, you have another one.
Yeah, Buck Ewing.
Okay, that's one of mine. He was right on the cusp, man, and most of his career was in the 1800s.
Yeah, I almost put him over Simmons as my number 10, but I decided against it.
He did have the best mustache on the list.
It's just, if you remember, I said the last 2 I was switching out constantly, and one of the ones I was switching in instead of them was Buck Ewing.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, he was
Yes.
one I tried real hard to get on the list, and he would have been a totally valid guy, 100%. Just didn't do it.
And the
Um,
last one is
Wait, let me give
my
you
name.
one before you give me your last one, real
Okay, go
quick,
ahead. Yep.
because it's my favorite name, and he doesn't even need a nickname because his name is Biz Mackey.
Oh yeah, Biz Mackey. That's the Negro League player, right?
Exactly. Yep.
I looked him up.
Good old Biz.
Nice.
My last one was it was kind of a homer pick, but his numbers are still pretty good, which is Jorge Posada.
Oh no, I'm with you there. He
Yeah.
wasn't. but I understand, and it's a legit. I thought he got. Did I read that he got shuffled off the MVP or the Hall of Fame ballot real quickly?
Yes.
Year he was on the
That's
ballot
that's
1 year, and that was it.
that's crazy. That's
That's a
crazy.
bad job. That's a bad job by baseball. That's
I
all
don't
I'm
Yeah.
saying.
understand it at all. I don't understand how they could make a case for that at all. I mean, like you could argue whether he's a Hall of Famer or not, but
But
he's
only getting being on the ballot one time is stupid.
insane. I mean, that's just
Him.
crazy. I don't
It.
understand that at all. At
Yeah.
all.
Him. Uh, Bernie Williams got off the ballot real quick. Carlos Delgado. Uh,
Yeah, and again, these guys are all borderline guys, but
yeah.
they should have more than 1 year
Yeah.
chance.
You know,
Exactly.
it's fun. Yeah,
Exactly.
this is what we were talking on our podcast last time we did it with the Hall of Fame thing. It's just they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Well, I can go off on that for a full podcast, so I'll give you the short version today. Baseball writers can be arrogant assholes. Pardon my
Yeah.
French. And
Oh,
No, I agree.
and they're also vindictive, vengeful, petty,
petty, all of it.
spiteful
What
All of it.
bastards.
you
Yeah.
know, Al, and you know, I'm sorry, I keep bringing up the podcast we did, but we were talking about a guy like Billy Wagner. He's on his last year and he's still not in the Hall of Fame, which I think is crazy.
Yeah. I know.
Who are your guys' number one guy who's not in the Hall of Fame that should be?
Oh shoot. I know. Well, when we talked about it on the pod, one of my big ones, Craig, and I don't know if he's my number one. I'd have to look at it and really break it down. But one of my big ones, and I've been talking about it since the '90s, is Lou Whitaker.
Ah, yeah, Lou
Yep.
Whitaker, Sweet Lou. Well,
Yep,
not Sweet Lou, but um, mine and his numbers are way better than some of these Hall of Famers. But it goes back to the writers being spiteful assholes, and it's Albert Bell.
that's a great one.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Albert Bell's numbers are are ridiculous.
Yeah,
They're definitely Hall of Fame worthy, and the only reason why he's not there is because he treated the media like shit on purpose, as they probably deserved anyway.
no
But
doubt.
because of that, the writers hold it against him, and they're spiteful about it, and he's not in.
That's a great one. I completely agree. A million
His
percent.
numbers are definitely Hall of Fame worthy.
Yep.
100%.
No, I agree with you guys. It's crazy to me that some of these guys are not getting in just because they're not. Actually, you know what? Here's my number one. I know he had a stint with the media as well, but to me, he created a dynasty, and he's an executive, and I know that. Well, Craig probably knows where I'm going with, and because we do have executives, we do have managers. Hell, I think we have umpires in the Hall of Fame. But
I
to
know who you're
me,
going. Can I guess?
yes,
Stick Michael.
actually, I wasn't gonna go with that. I was gonna
Oh,
go with George Steinbrenner.
oh well, yeah, he should definitely be
Oh,
there.
yeah. I mean, clearly.
How
Clearly.
like he created he's the reason why the Yankees are these
Yeah,
they're big. Like he gave them the nickname the Evil Empire.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. Yeah, it's insane that he's not. That's
You
crazy.
know, like it's crazy. Like
his influence in baseball in general is worthy of it as well.
yeah, and also, but we are gonna go player. I do hope he gets announced this Sunday where they're gonna do the classic era ballad, whatever the hell it's called. Luis Tiant, I would like to see being Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's a great one.
I would too.
That's a great one.
By the way,
Absolutely.
just real quick, because we mentioned him, Albert Bell's career OPS is 933
Yeah.
with 380 home runs, a batting average of 295 career.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's
that's
insane.
yeah. I
Well,
mean, there's no there.
1,200 RBIs.
And again,
Uh,
even though he was in the suspicion era, I don't remember him ever getting caught with steroids, right?
nope,
Nope.
never once,
Yeah.
never once.
So
And
they can't hold
just
that against him.
no, he just was a jerk to the media on purpose.
Yeah,
Yep.
which I don't blame him at all. I'm with you
No.
there. That's oh,
But
and there's one other name I almost forgot that I like to throw out every time this conversation comes up because he was a Philly at one point, and I mean, he's got some of the best offensive numbers of anybody not in the Hall of Fame. Certainly OPS wise, he's right behind Albert Bell. Dick Allen.
Oh
Dick
yeah.
Allen was. I mean,
Oh,
this guy was a
yep.
damn beast, man. Like his career OPS in an era when OPSs weren't that big generally was 912.912. I mean, that's insane for somebody who played in the 60s and 70s.
Yep.
Um,
He's
351 homers, 1,119 RBIs. I mean, listen, and he had 3 seasons of OPSs over 1,000. I mean, he was a, I mean, I don't know what the guy has to do. He's been through veterans committees, and now he's getting a chance again on this new thing. But yeah, I mean, he should have been in a long time ago. I don't understand why he's not. Same with Lou Whitaker. Lou Whitaker's stats aren't overwhelming, so I do understand that. But Dick Allen's are, so there's not a real good case. I guess he didn't make it to 400 home runs, so that's the thing you can use to keep him out. But we know that doesn't matter as much anymore. You know what I mean?
No, there's other reasons, and he qualifies.
He was a jerk too to the media. He was treated like crap in Philly, and became a surly kind of dick. But I don't blame him. I mean, the Philly media will turn a lot of people into a surly dick. Steve Carlton didn't talk to the media for 20 years, and he was in the Hall of Fame right away.
Yep.
Mhm. Also another guy who's on the ballot. That I just want to say, and I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Tommy John.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all about that. All about that.
So,
That
Love it.
well,
his name will live forever.
yep.
Yep. Yeah, he's got the surgery. They can't take that away from him.
Yep.
But yeah, no, he deserves to be in as a player for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, he's 12 wins shy of 300. His WAR is 61.6. His stats look even good to modern stats nerds. Still look pretty good. So yeah, I mean, we were just talking about CC Sabathia the other pod, Jordan,
Yep.
and his stats are like frankly are significantly better than CC's, and they should both be in as far as I'm concerned. So Tommy John should have been in 30 years ago.
I agree. Yeah.
Love it. Great calls, all of them.
All right. Anything else we want to add before we sign off, or?
I think I'm good, my man.
I am too. I was going to mention about the golden hitter, but
Oh yeah.
we can, if you want to hold off on that, we could. But I know we're up on like 2 hours. If you want to hold off, we can do that another time.
Uh,
Maybe we do that when we talk about the free agency or something, because that won't be as long a pod.
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, but I can't wait to talk about that. Now, we had fun talking about it on our football pod the other day, and I've been stewing on it, and I still don't know where I land, but I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah. I'm not, I had, with the chance to really think about it a little bit more. I'm not, with the things I've heard, I'm not as on board as I was before, but I'm still in favor of it. And again, it's more in the context of them just trying new things, and I like that.
And I'm with you 100% on that, Craig. 100%.
But anyway,
Yeah. I got my opinions on it, but yeah, I think.
I love it.
Yeah, like you said, we're going over. I don't want to drag this along, but yeah, no. Well, I definitely got my opinions on it, which yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
I love it. I love it. Well, we'll do a deep dive on that soon enough. That's awesome. That's going to be a good one. A good one.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that was fun. This is, I will say this: it's fun with other people because I like talking about this. Definitely guys that you don't know or you haven't considered, which you guys bring a lot, which I love, so thank you guys for joining me once again to do catchers. Um, so I'm thinking next time we'll pick a date. I don't know what's good for you because I know our schedules are all over the place. First baseman next.
Oh, you got it. And that might be talk about one that's going to be hard to leave people off a list. Man, like there's so many guys. Because that's where guys that can't play another position finish their careers too. Like there's guys like Pete Rose we have to consider a first base that played 800 positions. So that's going to be a fascinating one, man. I can't wait. Count me in.
I'm definitely in for that too.
All right, cool. We'll decide a date. Probably through text or whatever. But we'll definitely do first baseman. And if you haven't already, go check out the shortstops and our third baseman, which has gotten great views. I just want to thank everybody for listening to that.
That's awesome.
And doing catcher now. And also, if you are a football fan, go check out Craig and Al on Perks Recap, where they discuss the football. They do, what do you guys do? Preview and review?
Yeah, we do 2 a week. We review the previous week, and then we preview the upcoming week.
All right. Yeah, so go check that out. If you're also a football fan, they do a great job over there. I've actually listened to some of your guys' podcasts. Still don't know what's going on, but I listen.
Love it. You're awesome. Thank you, Jordan. You're awesome.
So yeah, go check that out. And like I said, we'll keep
Yeah, well,
doing it.
I'm assuming we'll convene for when the free agency really starts ramping up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
Either on mine or yours. Just stay tuned to both, and we'll figure out which one we're going to do it on.
Yes, and hopefully we'll get some action soon because I need Juan Soto to sign so we could
Yeah,
not
because once
drag.
he signs, then I think a lot of people will. He's got.
Yeah,
Tumblers will
But a
start
lot of
falling
people are
into
waiting.
place.
Yeah, a lot of people are waiting for him.
No doubt
yeah.
about it. Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, unless you're the
I don't
Dodgers.
blame teams wanting to know if they have between 600 and 700 million tied up for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, yeah, but every team's waiting for him. Unless, like I said, unless you're the Los Angeles Dodgers who already made their big move. But
Yeah, Blake. Yeah, man. The old Blake Snell signing. That happened live on me when Craig and I were doing our football podcast.
oh,
Came
nice,
Yeah,
right
yeah, we
across
were
the ticker.
live.
Yep.
nice. All right. Well, other than that, I'm gonna sign off. And like I said, guys, thank you for joining me. This is a lot of fun, like as always.
Back at you,
Thank,
Jordan. Thank you as
thank you for
always.
having us.
You're welcome. And we'll sign off, and I will see you all in the next one.